Good evening, YouTube. It's your guy J Crew to you, coming at you here with probably what's going to be a bit of an overdue video. Um, and some of y'all like probably know when you watch, if you watch my videos on my channel, you know I just don't like to immediately respond to things when they pop up in the news. I like to get a little bit more information before I just put out videos. I know everybody's competing for views and want to have the most view count and want to get their money up on YouTube. I like to wait for more information to come out before I just put out my opinion. I'm gonna do a video about a gentleman who's well known probably in the black community here on YouTube. A guy who's a vlogger in the what they would call the black manosphere. Guy by the name of Kevin Samuels who passed away this past Thursday, apparently from a heart attack. When I say that name, especially amongst the black YouTubers community here, people know who I'm talking about when I mention Kevin Samuels. Yeah, for those of you who are unfamiliar with terminology, the Black Manosphere is like a collection of YouTubers, males in the black community who voice their opinions about the world. A lot of them have alpha male kind of opinions. They don't really kind of get with the feminism stuff that's going on. And it's just a man's man kind of point of view of life, but how men need to be in control, men need to be the head of the household. Men should be first in society. And it's kind of I'm just kind of generalizing it. Like it's much more than that, but that's pretty much a lot of what is said about the black manosphere, just in way more words. Kevin Samuels actually had been a part of YouTube probably for several years, if not longer. But he only really came to prominence within the last 3 years. He was a guy who was based out of here in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, and but I believe when he originally got on YouTube, he was talking about different things such as cologne reviews, cigar reviews, or he was more or less like I guess you say he presented himself to be a upper class gentleman, who kind of rated different aspects uh, of upper class life. And that's the best way I could put it. But nobody really knew him, including me. I had never heard of him. And really up to the last 2 to 3 years, I think Kevin Samuels mainly talked to men online when he started doing lives on YouTube. He would just talk to men about their perspectives on women and relationships. But he started to talk to women at some point. And when he started talking to women, Kevin Samuels really, really kind of was known to give women an opinion of where he thought they were on the pecking order of a man's wants and needs. And a lot of them found out they weren't too high on that pecking order. Uh, uh, Specifically, he had this sort of, I guess, philosophical approach for how he sort of presented himself in terms of his look and how he talked to women about how men like him would deal with them. It's what you call a high value man type of concept. And this is something that was somewhat controversial. I mean, there were a lot of men that probably didn't like what he presented. And I know I'm not probably going to capture every aspect of it. I'm going to try to just kind of briefly go through the high value man concept. In Kevin Samuels' mind, a high value man was a guy who made at least six figures a year, meaning over $100,000 a year. Maybe had some assets about himself, whether it was a car or a business or, homes, etc. He had something to offer someone. He was a man of substance and a man who had things, in this world that made him somebody. And so, what Kevin Samuels would call us was, a high value man type of deal. He had something that he could give people or offer someone. With the high value man concept, he would talk to women about that, and he would specifically tell women like, if you're not really equally yoked to the man, meaning if you're not making somewhere near what he's making, and you don't have too many assets about you, men are not going to value your existence. Matter of fact, a lot of high value men are not going to really pay attention to you at all. They're not going to want to be bothered with you. And that's basically what he was saying, that he would tell a lot of women basically they weren't good enough to be considered to be a mate for a high value man. and he when the women would call in on his lives, sometimes Kevin Samuels, in my opinion, would go too far in how he would sort of like let them know that. He would ask them like if they didn't want to cam up, so to speak, if they didn't want to put themselves on camera, he would ask them about their physical dimensions, like how tall are you, how much do you weigh, what is your job? Some of them might have been, LPNs, licensed practical nurses. They may have been making $30,000 a year. They may have been overweight. And Kevin Samuels, like, a woman like you is not gonna be considered by a high value man. Like, what? Why are you guys acting like you can't deal with a man who's low on the totem pole when a high value man don't want to have nothing to do with you? That's basically what Kevin Samuel would tell like a lot of these women. They just weren't good enough. They would have to be of a certain status themselves before they would even be considered by a high value man. He would also say, if you got with a high value man, that you need to be aware of how he would sort of treat you. Like if you were a high value man, he's probably, not gonna be completely faithful to you all the time. He's a guy that's probably gonna, have different women on the side because with, he's gonna have more options. If he has more money in his pocket and he comes and he has a certain type of job or a certain type of influence out here in the world, he's not gonna really just want to be with one woman, and let me say, I agree with that. Like, I mean, I think that's just common sense. If a dude got some money in his pocket, he ain't gonna want to be with just one woman. I mean, most guys would be like that. I imagine if I was, just down the dating scene, I really wasn't married. I probably, if I was a quote unquote high value man making over 6 figures a year, I would probably almost as a must have multiple women on my line. That's just how that is. You're gonna have options. Women gonna see you and they gonna see you have certain things of in terms of money in your pocket, nice car. They don't want to be with you. That's just how that is. That's just life. A lot of women didn't like to hear that, but Kevin Samuels really would let them know that. And he would tell them that they had no business kind of thinking about, being with men of substance and men of a certain status, given that they were lacking so much themselves. And that's what really got up on the women's skin. They just didn't like Kevin Samuels saying stuff like that. I thought it was kind of funny, but sometimes no question about it, he did go too far, and it really made him become a pariah in the black community. In terms of you know how well known he was, and how women just didn't weren't feeling his opinion on things. To me, Kevin Samuels, even though I didn't agree with everything he said, he told a lot of just what the truth was, plain and simple. He was just willing to come out and say that. Most people, we're taught to be nice and maybe don't disrespect people like that, but Kevin Samuels will come out and just say it. He said what a lot of people think. We're always taught to be, at least where I come from, we're taught to be respectable to people and not really kind of talk down to them. Sometimes you probably need to be just truthful with people because I think the truth will have them sort of like headed in the right direction in life and not really, have them misguided about where they're going. They'll know what their value is. It also let them know what they need to improve at. I think if you tell people the truth, it'll let them know what they need to improve at in life. It can be helpful in different ways. I know another thing that Kevin Samuels talked about was how women, uh, who with kids would, are kind of coming to the fold, expect the man to want to pick that type of burden up. He said, no, we ain't doing that. Not a high value man, not a man who saved his money, worked hard, and sacrificed. He ain't gonna have nothing to do with that. Not if he's a high value man, and I agree with that. You shouldn't be obligated to take care of somebody else's kids. So I agreed with him on some of those points that he made. It's just how he went about doing it. I wouldn't be that disrespectful to women in the way I would express that. And I think that's what kind of Kevin Samuels kind of fell short with me a little bit. I didn't watch all of his videos, but I watched a lot of them. I know recently he was doing a video about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, and that whole fiasco that took place. He was kind of doing some videos about the slap. You know what I'm saying? Maybe like a few weeks back. He was doing some, to a month ago, he was doing a video about that, and he made some great points in that video. And and so Either way, it's unfortunate that Cameron Samuels has passed away because I think he made his points. Of course, you know people didn't like how he went about doing it, but I think it's an opinion that need to be heard. For people who follow my channel, you know I did a video about another well-known vlogger in the black community uh, named David Carroll, who passed away in mid-December. And he was kind of like along the lines of Kevin Samuels in terms of how his personality was. He's very blunt, but even though his content maybe was a bit different, he's very blunt about how he came across. And I put these guys like in the same boat. They told you at least a lot of what you need to hear, and people did not like them because of that. And so, you know, David Carroll and Kevin Samuels, you know, you guys are going to be missed, you know, amongst the black manosphere, you know, because I think your opinions need to be heard. And with both of these gentlemen, there have been a fair amount of people like amongst black men and women who celebrate their demise. I mean, I think that's unfortunate just because of an opinion, but that's just what happened. Either way, like I said, Kevin Samuels died this past Thursday. I think he had a heart attack. You know, he was apparently, you know, he apparently had spent the night with a registered nurse here. I don't know if she's from here. I don't know who she is, but apparently she was a registered nurse, and you know, he spent the night with her. And just because he spent the night with her, and I think some people said he even met her just days before. Some people put her like in a certain category of horror status. It was like Kevin, he really was getting it in up here. You know, he maybe was hated by some people. He was like wasn't up by someone probably to be willing to entertain him in that way. But either way, I think he fell on top of her after he lost consciousness and he was breathing erratically, and I think she was trying to perform CPR on him. She tried to do everything she could to save him, but she couldn't save him, unfortunately. And so he passed away. And it was being even weirder with Kevin Samuels that I've been seeing that people report his age as being all over the place, like in his 50s. I read one place he was 52, other places said he was 57, another place said he was 55, 50, 54, 50. So I don't even know if people know his exact age like that. But little tragic side note was that his mother did not even know he passed till she saw it on social media. So I thought that was very unfortunate. And she has confirmed that it was him. Because, you know, when it first came out, I didn't just automatically believe what I was hearing, you know, with Kevin Samuels. You know, I said, I don't know, somebody just kind of reported some fake news, but I found out maybe the next day or so that it was him. You know, some people were you know, reading police reports and stuff like that. And, you know, he unfortunately passed away because he had a huge following. I think he had millions of followers on YouTube. You know, he's getting hundreds of thousands of views on videos routinely. So, you know, people really follow Kevin Samuels, you know, whether you liked him or not. And so either way, I would say rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Just much in the same vein as David Carroll, your opinion will be missed. You know, I enjoyed listening to the content for what it was. Didn't agree with everything you said, but it was enough to where I think people, should have at least listened to you, gave you their ears for a little while. She got J Crew to you. Uh, if you like the content, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, y'all have a good one.